Oh, hi there. Well, good morning. Welcome to the review segment here on the AM show. If you just joined us, Benjamin just finished up with the news, but you made it in good time. We're now coming to review the newspapers. Ben, good morning.
Good morning, Mama. And we keep learning new things when it comes to Ghana Month.
Oh, yeah.
You know, one thing I keep saying that we're not so good at is intra-tourism, touring our own country. So you see a few things, and I was actually excited about that bit with regard to Second D. And this makes you want to go there and then have a feel of it for yourself. If you've not been to places where you have these dancers on stilts and all of that, very interesting bits. I don't know, though, but since we started our Ghana Month, which place have you seen, any report on that you felt, oh, I must go there?
Maybe because most of the places, I live in Takoradi, so Second D Takoradi is like that to me by heart. But it's Axim that I want to go so badly. I haven't explored Axim at all.
Okay.
So
Virgin territory for you.
Yeah.
Interestingly, I've never been to Inzulu.
I haven't been there too. But for some reason, I want to go to Axim.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think for me, that would be my go-to place, Ghana's own Venice.
Yeah.
Anyway, so thank you.
And you should go and spend time there, not like be in a hurry to return to Accra.
No, actually go and...
That would be good.
And hope I don't swim. Well...
The kids will help you out.
Okay, so when Mawami starts going down that road, mischief is somewhere around the corner.
No mischief there.
Anyway, it's good to see you. Let me just say that. It's
you too. I mean, we survived, right? So here we are. God has blessed us with another week, and we have to make the best out of it.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I have this morning the Daily Guide, the Daily Graphic, the publisher, the Custodian. Some interesting one here, the Meridian. And Economy Times. What do you have?
The Ghanaian Times, Daily Dispatch, The Finder, the Business and Financial Times. I'll end with the Daily Statesman newspaper.
Okay, so let's check out your headlines.
Yeah.
I know this is probably your favorite newspaper. Now,
is it?
We're catching on to the act. You know how it's last, was it Thursday? That I started paying attention when we had the budget statement and you were there, and you actually mentioned it yourself.
Well,
so now we know what your favorite
It's not my favorite newspaper, but I've got a favorite page there, which is the page 3.
You know what I'm going to do henceforth? I'm going to try as much as possible to ensure that every day you have a Ghanaian Times newspaper. All right, so let's check out what it says.
So front page of the paper says 50 megawatt boost for national grid as Bui Power generates more solar energy. Police impound 60 motorbikes in Accra. NLA brings back live draws for 590 Lotto just after the Director General and his deputy were sent off from the institution. Well, pastor grabbed for swindling 4 people of 16,059 Ghana cedis. This is a very familiar one because I've mentioned this pastor before. This is the man who is alleged to have carried himself as a police detective and promised people that he could help them enlist into the Ghana Police Service. He's been grabbed. Initially, it was 2 people. This is, so he tells a fruit vendor in Accra that this is who I am, allegedly, and I can help people enlist. So this fruit vendor tells her brother, who was interested. Her brother also tells another person. So the 2 of them went forward and called him and said that we're interested. And he said it would take 10,000 Ghana cedis for each of you for this deal to go through. But you have to send me 700 Ghana cedis to do the processing for you, which they did, and also then communicated to other persons. So details of how this whole deal went down is in the newspapers, and that's because the court is hearing. So Jen hearing till the 12th of April. Is interesting. I mean, you've got 10,000 Ghana cedis to give somebody to get you a job. How much are they going to pay you?
They pay different sums. You remember the story of Diana Hayes, right?
Yeah.
So this also, survivors of domestic violence advised to pursue justice in all cases. But tied to, there's a linkage between both stories because the 10,000 you made, is it 16,000? So it's 10,000 a piece.
10,000 is his initial communication that this is what you have to pay. But out of that, they paid certain sums. And totaling 16,059 is what he's alleged to have taken from them.
It's very interesting. And the question again is, if you have that kind of money lying around, but you see, the thinking always is, it's greener on the other side. And with this money, I can get much more. Unfortunately, it doesn't. Oftentimes, it's much drier, not greener.
Yeah.
On the other end.
Okay, just in the center spread of the Ghanaian Times, Ben has already mentioned it. Survivors of domestic violence advised to pursue justice in all cases. This is the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, and treating survivors of domestic violence to be bold and report such act to the appropriate authorities for redress. Additionally, it has encouraged survivors to be resolute in following cases through to the latter to ensure that perpetrators are brought to book and others deterred from continuing the crime. This is certainly a good call, but there are so many things linked to this issue of domestic abuse. It's not just as we say it. People consider so many things. Sometimes immediately it is, where would I go? I mean, because you have nothing really. Yeah. And this person who is abusing you is the source of your livelihood. And so there are so many things that we need to fix as a country. And it's also most heartbreaking when we know that there is a fund set up so that, for instance, if you encounter anything like that and you go to the hospital, you don't have to be given a form. You go to a hospital and you have to pay.
I think that is one of the most devastating aspects. Imagine you've been abused, you've been raped and the rest, and you go and they're now telling you you have to cough up some money before you get a form and do this. I mean, the trauma that would put you through. This
is a fund that was set up. I remember Mr. Martin Pebu going to court to get the state to, to get the court to try and enforce what the law itself had stated. And I tried chasing to see how much we had in the fund. And the issue with state institutions, especially when there are issues, is that you'd realize that nobody would want to speak to the matter. There is a secretariat, but you'd find that nobody is willing to speak. And that's really, really sad. So you can go dig. In the end, you won't be able to figure out if there is any money in it at all for persons who sadly get abused. On the back page of the Ghanaian Times.
Some progress being made, but let me just tie this in, because this past Thursday we had the grand opening of the Orange Support Center under the auspices of the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection and the UN Population Fund. And I just want to put it out there because there's this Boame app, B-O-A-M-E, on Google Play that you can access as well. And it's in support of victims and survivors of gender-based violence. And I think all of these are good steps to ensure that our women, are protected at home, not abused. And even when there is abuse, the mechanisms to follow to ensure that, you get some redress.
Yeah. Shrash is also addressing the issue of people judging you, as in society judging you because you've stepped up and you're trying to make a report. But if we have to think about what people say,
it's a tricky place to be. If you keep quiet, people will say, why did you keep quiet?
Yeah.
When you speak up, people will say, why are you're being too rash.
Yeah. Okay. All right, I guess that's it for the Ghanaian Times. There are plenty more headlines in the paper that you can explore. Oh, just one more story on page 3. There's a woman, 46. She's been arrested over machete attack, and the Wasai Kropon police in the Western region have begun investigations into the circumstance that led Comfort Jewu, 46, to violently attack Patricia Odro, 45, at a Galamsey site at Wasa Japa 2 weeks ago. Patricia has told journalists that Comfort slashed her with machete, allegedly over 7,000 Ghana cedis, which she, the victim, claimed needed to pay her rent and also to operate a chop bar business. They both work on the Galamsey site at Wasa Japa. Meanwhile, Comfort has been arrested and placed in police custody, assisting investigators, while Patricia was admitted at the Wasai Kropon Government Hospital, where she was treated and later discharged. More of the details here. There's also a suspected armed robber who was shot dead by the police when he attempted to rob a passerby at Awudome Cemetery near the Kwame Nkrumah interchange in Accra. The deceased, believed to be in his 20s, who's yet to be identified, has been sent to the police hospital mortuary for autopsy. Now, if you monitor carefully, that area is one of those crime zones. You dare not pass at some specific times because people would rob you and run away into the cemetery itself. I think it's one of those areas that the police is also keeping tabs, because after the robberies were recorded, there was a release that it was one of those areas that the police is patrolling these days. But I guess if you can avoid that route, it's better, especially if you're walking at certain times of the day. Please avoid it if you can.
Well, let's check out some details now from the Daily Graphic, and it says, difficult times ahead, but embrace 2021 budget, economists advise Ghanaians. That's something I'll take a quick look at on page 16. But in case you missed out on it, let me just brief you in terms of taxes and levies per the 2021 budget statement. Road tolls are to go up. You remember, Mama V, that I stepped out to, the Accra-Tema stretch. And interestingly, all those I spoke to, from those in their private vehicles to trotros to everything, said, no, we don't even see what they're doing with what we're getting now. And the sector minister designate at the time, now he's, said that he would rope it in. Well, it's been mentioned in the budget. There's going to be a 1% COVID-19 levy, a sanitation and pollution levy of 10 pesos on price per litre of petrol or diesel. VAT is set to go up by a flat rate scheme of 1%. NHIL will be increased by 1%. All of these we are paying already. And then in terms of the financial sector cleanup, there's going to be another levy of 5% on profit before tax for banks. So that's just a little bit when it comes to what to expect. GHS trains funeral homes on COVID-19 burials. Picture there, Director General of the GHS, Dr. Patrick Umabwaje. Confronting piracy in Gulf of Guinea, Ghana-UK scale-up action, and Ghana and the United Kingdom are collaborating strongly to increase their levels of activity in the Gulf of Guinea to deal with the threats of piracy. So it's a collaboration between the Ghana Navy and the Royal Navy of the UK. But interestingly, Mr. James Heapy, UK Minister of Armed Forces, is quoted to say, I'm not going to say to you that by 5 years' time all the piracy would have gone away, but what I will say to you is that there will be increased levels of activity between our two navies, and I'm certain that they will have an impact on the security situation in the Gulf. Piracy, a big problem. When you go to the international page 5, Nigeria intensifies search for 39 kidnapped students, and Central African Republic to vote in legislative election amid security boost. But back to the budgets, there's an editorial on page 7. Budget signals time for all-inclusive sacrifices. And indeed, sacrifices we're being called upon to make. We're tightening our belts, but what will that yield, essentially? That's the question. This story has been trending on Sky News. London police criticized after breaking up a vigil. It has to do with Home Secretary Priti Patel, who has called for an external view of decisions taken regarding the policing of a vigil in memory of Sarah Everard last Saturday. London Mayor Sadiq Khan also wants an independent investigation of Met police actions at the event on Clapham Common, and ousted Myanmar speaker in hiding and vows to continue revolution. So let's come back to Ghana now. Something to celebrate, at least on page 13. GHS records reduced maternal death and infant mortality. Page 16 has that story about the budget, which when I get the opportunity, I will get into. The middle spread or the center spread of the paper. More health workers receive COVID-19 jab. In fact, when you look at the numbers so far, about 60,398 out of 66,686 health workers in the Greater Accra, Ashanti and Central regions have been vaccinated against COVID-19. Something to celebrate. On the back page, Sunon Asogli to invest in renewable energy. And you know the state of Ghana when it comes to renewables. And so this is a step further. The story says the chairman of Sunon Asogli Power Ghana Limited, Mr. Yang Kun, has indicated the company is ready to take advantage of the current enabling environment prevailing in the country to invest in renewable energy. More details of that story on the back page of the paper. Right, so Mama, that will be it for the Daily Graphic newspaper.
All right, let's continue with the Find That newspaper. There's a very appalling story in the paper today on page 5. I'll get to it, but on the front page, government completes 539 out of 1,119 senior high schools projects. This was reviewed when during the budget presentation. Take COVID-19 vaccine when the opportunity comes. Dr. Awal, Tourism Creative Arts Minister, making that call. Exercise power over public purse with conscience and integrity, a call by the Speaker of Parliament to his members as he opened a workshop in Hull. This workshop is to help educate the members, get them to be familiar with the budget 2020-2021 so they can make meaningful contribution to it. Government increases expenditure by 13.7%. Okay, there's a good breakdown in the paper today. Securities and Exchange Commission requires 5.5 billion Ghana cedis to settle investors. Chief of Staff inaugurate physiotherapy units for Jubilee House Clinic, and State Housing Company hands over houses to Immigration Service. Now on page 5, there is a choreographer teacher who's been jailed 15 years for defilement. He actually, and this is a class 4 pupil that he did this to, and afterwards threatened her and said she shouldn't tell anyone and that he would kill her if she did. But fortunately, he's actually been dealt with by the court and has been given a 15-year jail term. He's actually 33, and this happened in Oyarifa in Accra. Let me see. Timelines. This was November again. See, this happened in November 2019, and it's just recently that this case has been closed because he was only arrested end of 2019 in December. And they've been able to bring closure. It's been, how many years on?
We have to do something, I feel, with our children. Let them know, first of all, people are not supposed to touch certain parts of your body. And you can start as a parent by knowing how you relate to the children, even you, creating some distance when it comes to touching those parts of the child's body. So when they are fully aware that people mustn't touch these parts of your body, and when anybody does, immediately, no matter what the person says, we have to psych up our children. When someone does this to you and tells you don't speak up, immediately actually speak up. Because some of these children take their word for it. I saw this horrifying one, Mama V. It must have been about a year ago. And this child, very little child, I can't relate to you some of the things that this teacher did, but I mean, all kinds of things with a child.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't spell out the sort of things he did with her, but ghastly, horrifying. I couldn't watch the video. He was having this girl perform things on him and I was just, and all of this happened. Eventually, guess what? The child died. So we keep on, with all of this. I think as parents, we ought to make our children also very conscious because, unfortunately, you can't look at someone's forehead and say, this person is a rapist, this person is not a rapist, or this person is a likely this or not a likely that. We have to be very cautious.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let me break your heart a lot more because there's another issue related, also a defilement case, also on page 5. So Frank Kwekwa Nochi, a trader, has appeared before an Accra Circuit Court for allegedly having sex with his ex-girlfriend's 10-year-old daughter at Timber Market in Accra. Nochi, aka Nyamiche, while in a relationship with the victim's mother, allegedly defiled the victim without the knowledge of the mother. Nochi pleaded not guilty and admitted to bail in a sum of 60,000 Ghana cedis with 3 sureties, 2 of whom are to be justified with landed property. So there's a good background to this. And this was only reported, again, this was also reported February 6th this year. The complainant reported the matter to Gov't, Accra region, and a medical form was issued to the complainant to seek medical care for the victim on February 6th this year. The prosecution said on March 1st this year, the accused person was arrested by the police. So case has been adjourned to March 31st. And we will see how this also travels, I guess. You know, there's a reason children are children. Their bodies cannot take what, you know, adults do. That's why they're children. And I think that we all have a responsibility to protect them, not to abuse them the way that some people have done in the cases that I have been sharing with you from the newspapers this morning. It's a shame, really. How do you do that to a child? I mean, and I'm not in any way saying
but then
do it to an adult, but this is a child. I mean, you can't do it to an adult. How much more a child? I mean, yeah.
Well, there's a story that skipped me on page 18 of the Daily Graphic. I have only one wife. You know, the vice president came out forcefully with that. And, in fact, it ties into what the Daily Guide says. I know Samira, not Ramatu. That's according to the vice president. And this is getting pretty, I don't know, interesting on different levels. I think I saw, was it Atik, who wrote a piece on this bit? It was on one of these online platforms. I felt it was distasteful, but the vice president spelling out that, look, his religion allows him to marry 4, but he has only one wife, Samira, that he's been with for 17 years. Interestingly, I've heard of other things in the past, but you know what? The man is saying he has only one wife. It's not up to me to go, you know, trying to...
I think it's embarrassing to me that we, with all the challenges that we're faced with, we follow petty things.
Exactly. There are so many more pertinent things we ought to be spending our time, right? And
sometimes we just start something. We start something and we go to town with it and we say all sorts of things. And people also tend to, we like to gossip. That's the thing. And so we just do it. I mean, how do we build this to this level that the vice president now has to issue a statement?
And it all started from the swearing in ceremony, where erroneously the Speaker of Parliament mentioned Ramatu.
But the Speaker also did mention that was what had been given to him. And so there was a mistake. And I don't know why a lot of people chose to not believe that there was a mistake and still insist that there was a certain Ramatu.
Well, some people have also mentioned that, I mean, the Speaker of Parliament has been in Parliament for what? He's the longest serving parliamentarian, and what? He didn't know? There was some people, I mean, that is what some people have also put out there, that perhaps there was some...
Wait till you're put on the spot to read something, even very simple words that you think you know, and you make a mistake. I mean, what is that?
And we know it better than most.
As for that one, dear, you have no right to say he should have known. Sometimes you're actually reading something, but you're not thinking about what you're reading. You're only just reading. And remember that he had gone through a lot. He had just been sworn in. He was taking charge. This was his first major, and this was the swearing in of the president. I mean, it was a crucial ceremony, very heavy.
This was his very first role.
Yeah, that very major assignment. You can't say that he should have known. Really? Like, you don't make mistakes even when you're reading very simple things.
I'll run through bits and pieces of the headlines because we don't have that much time. So Opuni bribe cash pops up. That's it with the Daily Guide. The publisher, 60 motorbike Okada riders arrested at Kaneshi. The custodian, Ekufuado, to pay fees for 416,000 BECE candidates. And the Economy Times, wrap. Total debt stock. Ghana, stands at 291.614 billion Ghana cedis. I think someone was saying the other day that if we separated it or gave it out, dished it out to every Ghanaian, we'd be owing over 9,000 Ghana cedis. Mama, you can hand over your 9,000 to me so that, we'll see. We'll invest it and see whether we can make returns and pay back Ghana the debt we owe.
I said, well...
Anyway, so that's it from my end.
All right, let me do the Business and Financial Times. Bank of Ghana gets tough with that check issuers. Issuers to be placed under 3-year surveillance, ban for issuing checks for 3 years, ban for receiving credit facilities. The shame is that some people know.
I thought there was a 5-year something.
The check that they're giving you, in fact, but still, they want to fool you and give it to you, and the banks will keep going round.
You know how frustrating that can be?
Almost shut up. Okay, so the budget introduces new taxes, revises existing ones upward. We're hitting the streets on this issue. NHIS VAT flat rate up by 1%. Each new sanitation pollution levy, I think Ben ran us through some of them. The fuel prices also going up by 5.7%. Banks slapped with 5% extra income tax. Road tolls revised. New gaming policy introduced. So we're paying new things. GIP targets $3 billion FDIs in 2021, records a 139% jump in last year. 27,110 jobs created, according to what they've put out. Plenty of business-related stories in the Business and Financial Times.
We have enough time to go online. Check out what My Joy Online is saying this morning. Well, at least we know that Reverend Dr. Samuel Walanyo Mensah, together with Professor Eric Osayasibe, are saying we should brace ourselves for some tough times, but it's needed ahead of the 2021, budget, at least what it said. We'll be giving you some details of that, and today we'd like to hear from you. What do you think about these levies that have been imposed? Mama, let's check out what's
MyJoyOnline.com. Gomoa chiefs appease angry Apam goats after teenagers drowned at sea. Remember those 13 bodies pulled out? Over 25 of those young persons went to the sea to swim, and most of them did not return. There's the fetish priestesses and the entire chiefs of the Gomoa Achimpim Traditional Council. They performed rituals, they say, to appease the gods of Apam. For the traditional rulers, the customary rites have to be carried out since the incident is unprecedented and the gods must be pacified. After consultation with the gods, Queen Mother of Apam, Nana Ese Oboche III, revealed that the gods have demanded a fattened cow, 3 sheep, 12 fowls, 33 tubers of yam, 3 cartons of schnapps, among others. And according to her, this must be presented to Nananum before the remaining bodies, which have still not been found, will be discovered.
Said the gods.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. So plenty of stories there on myjoyonline.com. We'll leave you to explore. Coming next is sports, what you missed over the weekend, what we should be looking forward this week or coming up.
Manchester United won, by the way.
Oh, was there a win? How was the...
We beat West Ham.
I saw the game.
It was an own goal.
But I wasn't hopeful, so I just went to sleep.
Mama V is never hopeful for us. Anyway, more details in sports coming your way. Do stay.